Right now at 6, a fire tragedy in Youngstown. 5 children dead. Their mother jumped from a second-story window to survive.
Her kids were amazing, full of life, and just beautiful.
From the start, firefighters faced a tough battle.
The crews were faced with extreme amount of fire and heat.
Now neighbors are sending out messages of love and support for a family who lost so much.
There's nothing we can say to make it better, but there are people with you.
And even though you may not know them personally, you know that there's some families impacted, and it does impact your heart.
Now team coverage as a community asks why this happened and starts to mourn. And right now at 6, continuing coverage of this fire tragedy in Youngstown. This is a live look right now at the growing memorial along Parkcliff Avenue. All day long, people have been dropping off balloons, stuffed animals, and messages of love to those 5 children who lost their lives in this house fire. Today, an entire community is struggling to understand why this happened. Just a short time ago, the Mahoney County Coroner's Office identified those 5 young victims. 9-year-old Alicia Rosario, 3-year-old Charles Gunn, 2-year-old Laisha Gunn, and 1-year-old twins Brianna and Ariana Negron. This is a picture of the children with their mom, who survived. She's in critical condition at a hospital in Cleveland. We have a team of reporters covering this major local story. Anchor Dave Sess talked to people stopping by the fire scene today to show their support. Jerry Ricciuti has the latest on the investigation, and Nadine Grimley talked to first responders about how tragedies like this impact them. Let's begin tonight with 27 First News anchor Dave Sess live from the fire scene in Youngstown.
And the house here on Parkcliff is totally black right now because it's just burned out on the inside, not a light inside, just boarded up on the first floor windows and door in that area. The color is coming from the memorial that you've seen. There's actually 2 of them here, one on the telephone pole behind me and one on the other side of the driveway. They've grown since early this afternoon. It didn't take long for those memorials to start outside of this home, and of course it kept growing all day and making into 2 separate locations. There's been a citywide response to this tragedy, which has already touched many hearts. There's no easier way to make a child smile than giving them a stuffed animal. Cheryl Kelly dropped off a bear she would put out every Christmas in her house and was hoping Amy's children were watching from above.
I pray that they are, and I'm looking up to the heavens and asking God to give the mother strength, and I hope that she pulls through.
As the memorial grew, there were also people who just wanted to drive by and look. Colleen Richardson stopped and said a prayer for the family.
You know, she probably couldn't save her children. She probably tried, your mother, you know. So that's why I'm here, just to kind of like ask God to help her mother through the children's deaths and stuff.
There was one person who could relate to the tragedy. Michael Gibbs said his 15-year-old niece Letitia had been trapped and lost her life in a fire on Woodland years ago. Michael attached balloons to the memorial.
What such tragedy it was, you know, to lose the loved ones, you know, at a time like this during the holiday season.
Each stuffed animal, every candle, each balloon carried a heartfelt thought for the children who died in the fire. Children the person had never met, never seen, but knew they were loved last night and wanted to show them today that they were still being loved despite being lost in a tragedy. Tamika Brooks used to work with Amy, who actually had invited her to share Thanksgiving with the family.
I know she was a great mother. I know that she was a really hard worker. I know that her kids were amazing, full of life, and just beautiful.
Tamika used to work with Amy at Century Containers in Columbiana. They bonded while dancing at work one day, playing with the buckets which Century Containers makes. 2 firefighters were hurt in this fire, one from a partial ceiling collapse. He had some burns, second-degree burns. He's been treated and released. The other firefighter had a cut on his chin. He was also treated and released. Jerry Ricciuti's been following this story all day like myself. Jerry, what have you found out here from the scene today?
When talking to investigators, we understand that there's a lot to piece together in all of this, a lot of unanswered questions. Some, as we're finding out, you may never have answers to. As investigators from both Youngstown Police and Fire, as well as a team of agents from the State Fire Marshal, went through the burned-out remains of the house on Parkcliff, authorities believe the blaze that killed 5 young children started in a front first-floor living room.
There was a 9-year-old, there was a 3-year-old, there was a 2-year-old, and there was twin 1-year-olds.
Calls to 911 started just before 11:30 Sunday night, and the first crews were on the scene 2 minutes later. They found 26-year-old Amy Acevedo outside. She had jumped from the second-floor roof to escape, but her children were trapped inside. Word of the fire spread quickly, some coming to see for themselves after learning about it on the morning news.
My stepdaughter was texting me this morning about Christmas, and I'm like, I'm in tears. You know, there's babies that just died.
You could smell the smoke, and you could see the whole block cordoned off by the fire department.
Pastor David Campice lives a block away from the scene. He tells me while many will ask why a tragedy like this happens, answers aren't always available.
Sometimes you just have to acknowledge that there are things that go on in the world that are not God's will. This is one of them.
In the meantime, investigators believe the fire appears to be accidental.
So far, I do not see anything leaning towards a criminal investigation.
Now, at this point, they're going to have to wait until autopsies are completed on all 5 of those young victims, and then at that point, hopefully, they'll be able to determine just exactly how this fire started.
Just a few minutes ago, we talked with Reverend Lewis Macklin. He seemed very appreciative of all the support that's already been going on around here.
And he's been reaching out to the family of the Acevedos to see what their needs are, as we've been saying over the last hour or so, finding a concerted way for the community to help them.
And that's what we're going to talk about now, because that community effort has already started to help support Amy right now in her time of need. In fact, it was started by Youngstown 6th Ward Councilwoman Anita Davis, but also includes 2 pastors, 2 leaders of Mahoning Valley Sojourn to the Past, and the owner of Flambeau's. Now, Sojourn to the Past will serve as the fiscal agent in collecting donations. It's now a group effort citywide to help the mother. And Pastor Lewis Macklin says a tragedy like this impacts everyone.
I've had neighbors just literally just bury their heads right into my chest already this morning because they said it's just hard.
If you want to help, you can mail a check to Sojourn to the Past, or you can donate through the website. And there's a community pasta dinner fundraiser next Tuesday, December 18th, 4 to 8 o'clock at Flambeau's. It's located on 2308 Market Street. Well, as you can imagine, responding to something like this has an impact on our first responders, the emergency people who were the first ones to get here. First News reporter Nadine Grimley spoke with the first police officer on the scene, and you have his reaction tonight.
Right, Dave. Patrolman Robert DeMilo tells me the scene here late last night was the most horrific one he's seen in his 21 years at YPD.
Just knowing that that's somebody's baby that they won't see ever again.
Patrolman Robert DeMilo was the first police officer to arrive at the fire on Parkcliff Avenue late last night. He says he knew then the outcome wasn't good.
I give the fire department all the credit in the world going in there, grabbing the kids. I mean, risking their own lives for these children.
I had a very difficult time fighting this fire, both physically and mentally, due to the fact of there being 5 children trapped inside.
While firefighters worked to put out the fire and search the house, DeMilo says he and other officers were handed the children and helped carry them away from the house.
It's pretty emotional, like I said, especially when you have kids of your own, just picturing that could be your child being carried out of a fire.
Tonight, he's holding his youngest daughter a little tighter before he heads back to work.
We're human just like everybody else. We have feelings, we have family. We're not robots, we are human.
Well, like DeMilo said, it was an emotional scene for the first responders on the scene. He says counseling is offered to help them, but he says staying busy also helps keep their mind off of things.
Something they won't forget, and certainly something we won't forget as well. Of course, we remember that fire just 2 years ago up on Bryson Street, which killed a mother and her 2 children as well. We've got more coming up here from along Parkcliff as well. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Talking with a friend of Amy and what this means to her. Live from Youngstown, Dave Sess, WKBN 27 First News.
Our coverage of this major local story will continue in just minutes. We will talk with one woman who knows the victims. Plus, 911 was flooded with calls from first responders as soon as the fire started. The moment they knew the needed extra help is just ahead. But now to Storm Team 27 coverage, dry but cold over the next several days. Let's get an updated forecast from meteorologist Rod Cowan.
Yeah, definitely cold, that's for sure. The good news is the winds are very light. These are current temperatures. We hit the low 30s for highs today. Right now we're at 30 degrees in Newton Falls, a couple degrees cooler in Mesopotamia, also out at the airport, 29 degrees at YSU, 28 in Columbiana, 27s in Lisbon, also 27 in Newcastle, upper 20s in Mercer County. Now you factor in the winds, yeah, most of the temperatures are exactly the same. That's one thing we have been lucky with, not a lot of wind, and that's what's keeping these clouds in place. Not a lot of wind to move them around. We have a cold front pushing in from Canada. It's bringing those clouds across the Lake Erie, and they'll stick around for tonight. If you are headed out, cloudy skies and 28 degrees at 7 o'clock. By 9 o'clock in the mid-20s, still cloudy skies, light winds, and then mostly cloudy skies at 11 o'clock and 24. I'll be back with some warmer temperatures and some rain and snow in my 7-day forecast in just a couple minutes.
Continuing coverage of the fire tragedy in Youngstown. New at 6, the calls for help from first responders just moments after they got to the scene. Plus, one of the winningest coaches in Western Pennsylvania high school football is stepping down. That story in 27 Sports.
News and weather when you need it. Check WKBN.com. Covering major local news from where you live. You're watching WKBN 27 First News.
Continuing coverage of today's fire tragedy in Youngstown. 5 young children dead and their mother fighting to survive at a Cleveland hospital. 27 First News anchor Dave Sess has been at the scene throughout the day, and he's live.
And there was a family with 3 children which just stopped by and dropped off a set of balloons attached to the memorial here now, which has grown along Park Cliff. There's 2, as I've been telling you all evening. At this second one, I've seen a person walk from a street about 2 blocks away and brought 2 stuffed animals, which are about 2.5, 3 feet tall, and laid them at the memorial early this afternoon. I also stopped and saw a couple people pray after they put a stuffed animal at that memorial as well. Everybody who comes here is wanting to remember these victims of this tragic fire. Some are strangers, but there are others who knew the mother and her 5 children. In fact, one woman told us she's been in contact with the victims' family members, and here's what she had to say.
They're really, really hurt. I can say that. They can't even believe it. They're still in shock.
And she is just one of the many people we talked to throughout this very tough day. The fire started in the 400 block of Park Cliff Avenue around 11:30 last night. First responders got to the scene within minutes. A neighbor called 911 reporting the fire, and dispatchers quickly found out how serious things were becoming.
I want to get me every ambulance you have available. I want a total of 6 55s here in case I sustain injury to a fireman. Get them here.
And as we told you, there were 2 firemen injured. Both of them have been treated and released. And again, the mother still fighting in the hospital as she tries to recover from her injuries after jumping out the 2nd floor window. The 3 children, though, were all dead. Live again from Youngstown, Dave Sess, WKBN 27 First News.
And we will continue following this major local story in the coming days. Of course, you can count on coverage anytime at WKBN.com. All right, let's find out about our weather outlook for the next week. Here is meteorologist Rod Cowan with your 7-day.
Yeah, let's take a look at the trouble tracker over the next 24 hours. Just a slight chance of snow. We'll talk about that in my hour-by-hour forecast. Not much wind, not much rain, but the cold, yeah, it is sticking around for tonight and as we go through the day tomorrow. Current temperatures right now, 30 degrees in Newton Falls, 30 in Cortland. Most locations are quite at 30 degrees. Still at 30, though, is Hubbard, 29 in Youngstown, 28 in Columbiana, 27 in Lisbon, and even 27 in Calcutta. The good news is, if there is any good news, the winds are very light. Light to calm winds is not bad when you have very chilly temperatures, that's for sure. Taking a live look over downtown Youngstown here in our Huntington Sky Cam. Current temperature 29 degrees, calm winds. We hit only 31 and our morning low was 22. We normally should be in the upper 30s for highs, and we'll eventually get to that in my 7-day forecast. But for tonight, nothing on the radar, but just lots of clouds over top of us. The winter storm that missed us, it is starting to fizzle out down towards the south here. They picked up well over a foot of snow there. Our weather is coming from Canada. We have some very cold air coming across the Great Lakes, especially Lake Erie here, and that's what's keeping us in the clouds. And then this little weak system is going to swing through for Tuesday night, and we have another one on Wednesday. So cold again tonight. As we go through Tuesday, we'll see a little bit of sunshine in the morning, then clouds increasing, and then on Wednesday, another system that could give us at least a chance of seeing some snow. As we go into the hour-by-hour model and go into the overnight, we have mostly cloudy skies, and we get a little bit in a break of in that cloudy sky as we get into the morning hours. Now, here we are about 24 hours from now, Tuesday night, and then we start to see just a little bit of chance of a snowflake or a snow flurry making its way across us. That quickly dissipates as we go through Wednesday, starting off chilly with temperatures in the 20s. But the difference is on Wednesday, this system has a little bit more moisture with it. And then as we take a look at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, we have snow over top of us. It doesn't last very long. By the time we get to midnight, it is pretty much pushed towards Pennsylvania and then just leaving us in the clouds for Thursday morning as we go through Thursday afternoon, getting into the 40s, so that will probably melt any of that snow we get on Wednesday. For tonight, though, chilly, 20 degrees. Luckily, though, the winds will be on the light side. 34 for our high tomorrow. We'll have a little break of sunshine in the morning, and then about a 20% chance of seeing just a late day snow flurry or snow showers. The clouds return. Go and take a look at your next 7 days. 44 on Thursday, and once again, that snow will be late Wednesday into Thursday morning, and then warming up into the upper 40s for Friday and Saturday. Lots of rain headed our way, and we'll have to monitor those temperatures to see if any of that will start as snow or end as snow. And then 45 on Sunday, and then on Monday at 40 degrees. You can track the rain with us as we take a look at WKBN.com. We put updated forecasts there, and we also have any school closings or delays if they happen. Luckily, we've missed all that so far this year, but winter technically hasn't even started
yet.
Right.
Guess it's probably a good thing that our temperatures are going to be well above freezing. Seems like that would be a lot of snow.
Yeah. Right now it looks like 95% of it's going to be rain, but obviously it's a few days away, and you can track it along with us on right from your phone.
Thanks, Fred.
Sure.
We'll be right back. We got sports next.
The voice and face of your local sports, Chad Krispinski on WKBN 27 First News.
Hi again, everybody. One of the winningest coaches in Western Pennsylvania high school football is stepping down. Sharon's Jim Wildman announced today he will not reapply for the head coaching position. In 2 stints heading up the Tigers program, Wildman has amassed a record of 259, 104, and 7. He posted the second most wins on Mercer County's all-time win list, behind former Wilmington head coach Terry Varelli. Under his watch, Wildman led the Tigers to 2 state runner-up finishes, 2 Western titles, and 11 District 10 titles in 31 years on the sideline. This season, Wildman led the Tigers to a record of 10-4 and an appearance in the Western Final. Baseball's winter meetings are underway in Las Vegas, and some major trade winds are blowing for the Cleveland Indians. Multiple published reports say that trade talks involving Corey Kluber have intensified today, especially with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are among those teams involved in the discussions. The asking price will be high. Cleveland asking for young, highly touted outfielders, among others. The 32-year-old Kluber is a 2-time Cy Young Award winner in both 2014 and 2017. Finally, YSU women's basketball standout Allison Smolinski was named Horizon League Player of the Week today. She tallied a game-high 23 points with 6 3-pointers, and the Penguins win over St. Francis coming up last Saturday. And, of course, tonight we will have girls' high school action. A couple of really good games. Highlights at 10 and 11.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad.
You bet.
We'll be right back.
Anchors reporting from your community every day. You're watching WKBN 27 First News.
All right, Rod, what do we need to know tonight?
Bundle up. The good news is we don't have much wind to talk about, but we do have very chilly temperatures. Below normal temperatures, cloudy skies in the 20s for the evening, and then we're going to bottom out around 20 degrees for tomorrow morning under mostly cloudy skies, and then may get a break or two of sunshine in the morning, believe it or not. Otherwise, mostly cloudy for the afternoon with a late day chance of seeing a snow flurry. Not expecting any accumulation, and those will be isolated at best. A little bit better chance of seeing some snow for everybody on Wednesday, and that'll be coming in the evening commute, lasting into the evening hours. And then we start to warm up a little bit. How warm? Well, we'll continue to monitor that, but upper 40s with the rain showers for Friday and Saturday. That looks like at least a 60% chance as of right now. Obviously, we'll have to watch to see if there's any snow in the beginning of that system or at the end of that system. And you can track that storm system along with us. Go to our website, WKBN.com. We have radar updates there. And then if and when we have school closings and delays, they'll be posted on there as well.
All right, you guys got some b-ball action.
Yeah, Cavaliers are in Milwaukee. Ironically enough, the Cavs and Bucks swung a trade just last Friday to bring Matthew Dellavedova back to Cleveland. He will be in uniform. He will play against his former team. Cavs will see a familiar face for the Bucks in George Hill. We'll have highlights of that one coming up tonight.
All right, thanks, Chad, and thank you so much for joining us. We will be back tonight at 11 with the latest on the tragedy off of Youngstown's Parkcliffe Avenue. We'll see you then. Have a good night.